Here's a story from when I was a teenager. B14. My mother is very sick. Constant medical issues, mobility issues. Not fat, she literally can't balance. Being 14, I thought she was invincible and would just get over it. She's literally riddled with cancer. She's a fighter though, and we live in Australia, so amazing healthcare. She battles every shitty illness for 2 whole years. All this time, still manages to just be my mom. Makes me lunches, helps with homework, etc. I'm always nice to her because she's sick, but sometimes it takes a toll, and I get mad. We have to eventually get a carer in to look after her, as she is getting very sick. She's bedridden before I know it. I can hear the medical equipment from my room. Wake up one night to her gasping. Walk into her room with a glass of water. She's gasping for air. She'd fallen from bed and broken 2 vertebrae. She goes to hospital for 2 months after that. Fast forward 3 months, and she is well enough to go to the park with her best friend and me. We laugh, and she even made us some sandwiches. She gets sicker over the next few days. But she still does those mom things, like making my school lunches. She barely has enough energy to get out of bed, but still makes my lunch. Get called out of class one day, told to go to the office. There's a cab waiting for me. The principal tells me, "The school is here for you." But I don't understand. Get to hospital, taken to emergency. Watch my mother smile at me and take her last breath. Later that night, I'm home. Walk into the kitchen after crying for hours. Open the fridge. Laid out in there are my school lunches for the next 3 days. She literally used the last energy in her body to make sure I had my lunches for that week. I sat there on the floor and ate every last one. I still can't think about how caring that woman was without tearing up. God, I miss her. Be me, 18. Never had a girlfriend. Know this girl for a year now. Short, skinny, lolly-like cutie. She's awkward, shy, and fucked up. Perfect match. We start texting. Start really connecting with her for the past 2 months. We see each other every day, but never talk to each other. She's literally 3 meters from me. I still text her. We have intense staring contests. We like each other. Never went on a date. Never any physical contact. Never even been alone, really. But we text about everything, like we're in a relationship. I tell her about my fucked up life. She does the same. Feels good to talk to a human being, bonus if female. Tells me how her ex fucked her over. Don't care about her ex. Friday comes. I think I'm in love with you, Anon. Holy fuck, is this happening.jpg? Think a bit. I think I love you too. I really do. We connected so much. We talk all day. All day. Next day comes. She hasn't responded to my text. Don't take that much of it. She told me she loved me. She's not like that. Next day. She still hasn't responded, but is online. Starts getting to me. Monday, school comes. She isn't even looking at me. I approach her. Hey. I'm so sorry, Anon. I was talking with my ex on Friday and got over emotional. We're back together. Heart literally shatters. That's alright. Don't worry about it. Skip school. Go home. Cry all day. Cry all day today. She was one who pulled me out of my depression. Now it's reaching for me again. Worse than before. Be paramedic. See dozens of suicides in the last 8 years. The reactions of the loved ones are always bad. None is ever worse than a dad losing his son. There is not a thing in this world that is more depressing sounding than a man sobbing while clutching his son's lifeless body. I remember one who killed himself by shotgun slug after he came back from Iraq. There was nothing left of him, and his father got home just as we were getting ready to leave. I couldn't let him see, so I stood there and just didn't let him through. He went downstairs to the basement and clutched his son's old baseball glove, rocking back and forth, just saying, "Papa's here, buddy. Papa's here." Don't do it, Anons. Friday, about 6 p.m. In room browsing 4chan and playing Minecraft. Dad comes in. "Hey, buddy, have any plans for the weekend?" "Not really, no." "Why don't you go out with some friends? It's a nice night." Conversation continues for another 5 minutes. Dad asks about girls and my friends. I try to dodge around admitting that I have no friends and have no experience with girls. But he knows. "Okay, buddy. Just let me know if you ever want to ride somewhere, or you can borrow my car anytime you want." Pats me on the shoulder and leaves. I get back to Minecraft. After a few minutes, feel thirsty. No drinks in my room. Venture out of my room and go to the kitchen. Hear my father in the living room, crying. Look around the corner. He's looking through photo albums at pictures of me. "Hey, Dad." He looks up, trying to hide that he was crying. "I'm going out with some friends. Can I still borrow the car?" He smiles the happiest smile I have seen in years. "Sure thing, buddy." He gets up and hugs me, tears in his eyes. I get dressed, get in the car, and leave. I drive to an empty parking lot in an industrial area. I go to sleep in the back seat. Return home the next morning. Pretend I was out with friends all night. Dad hugs me again. I've been doing this almost every weekend for months now. In this thread, reasons we started lifting. Be 17, the summer before college. Camping with best friend. Bros for 10 years, been through so much shit together. Be DYEL, but bro played football and lifted. Trying to teach me about lifting. Wants us to pick up girls together next year in college. Hiking in the afternoon. We're pretty far in the forest. Nobody else in sight. Bro is hiking up ahead of me. We're both enjoying the quiet and connecting with nature. Hear a massive cracking sound. Thinking about it still sends chills down my spine. Crack is followed by the crashing sound of something falling. Something is a giant tree. Falling towards my bro. Try to warn him, but it's too late. The tree is on top of him. Race over to help. He's trapped underneath. The tree is on his chest. He can't breathe. He's choking to death. Try to lift the tree, put everything I have into it. It won't budge. Soon, he's not breathing anymore. Watch the life fade from his eyes. Doctors later say he would have died anyway. Can't shake the feeling I could have saved him. 3 years later, I can still see his face. Every time I deadlift, I imagine I'm lifting that tree off of him. For that one brief moment, the pain goes away. Rest in peace, my friend. Had the best dad of the world. Always used to play with me after work. Really loved me and my bro. One day, I came back from elementary school. Mom was all furious and angry and stuff. I asked what happened and where Dad is. She told me he broke up with her, got another woman and a kid. I didn't understand the world. Dad would never do such a thing. Went to my room. After 5 hours, I realized Dad would not come back. Was really sad, started crying and stuff. 1 month passed. Not a single sign from Dad. The next 3 months, sadness changed to anger. How could he have just leave me without even saying goodbye? Years passed. Started to forget about him. I already had a family and owned children. I loved them really much. The more I loved my children, the more I could not understand how he could have just done that to me. One day, my aunt called me saying my dad was about to die of cancer. Didn't give a flying fuck. He forgot me. Later, my wife told me I had to go visit him. Arrived at hometown hospital. Everybody was there. Even my mom for some reason. Everybody was crying. He just died. Did not shed a single tear. 3 days later, my mom gave me a fucking huge basket full of letters. Said that it was from my dad. To me. And she was sorry that she didn't give them to me. My heart crushed. Moments of silence. Then went bananas and hit Mom in face and stuff. Later went to Dad's flat to take things and stuff. There was no fucking other family. It was a one-man flat, one bed, and in the middle of the living room, there was a picture of my brother, my mom, and me. My dad died the other week. I got a video story about him for you guys. Parents split up at an early age. Didn't see Dad very much. Every time I went there, he always bought me a game. Always ended up buying really awesome games, even some more obscure stuff. He always said it was luck and that he wasn't into video games. Oh well, this goes on for years. He eventually stops buying games for me since I bought them myself. Dad dies. Went to his place to clean up, open his wardrobe. It was filled with tons of video game magazines. Checked through some of them for nostalgia. He had circled games that seemed cool and left notes like, Anon said he wanted an action game. Other notes like, work extra, buy both? My fucking face when I found out that he had spent hours reading about something that he doesn't care about, because he cared about me. I'm a freshman at college. I lived at home with my mom. The only other relative I know of is my shitty father, whom I haven't spoken to in years. My life at home sucked. My mom was always there for me, but I hated her. I don't even know why anymore. She was the only thing that kept me going, but I hated her. We just didn't have a good relationship. Well, she drove 4 hours to visit me a few days ago. She called me and said she was outside of my dorm. I freaked out and got pissed and told her just to go home and hung up the phone. That was the last time I ever heard from her, B. She killed herself. I feel like I'm about to do the same. I got this note from her today. Dear Anon, I'm sorry. I don't know why you hate me, but I'm truly sorry. I love you so much no matter what your feelings for me are. All I ever wanted was to make you happy. I can remember rocking you to sleep when you were younger, and that made me happy. I was filled with joy every time I saw that smile of yours. But something went wrong. I know you'll be better off without me. You can finally be happy. I love you more than life itself, and that's why I'm doing this. I'll be watching over you from heaven. Love, Mom. I can't control myself. I have never cried so hard in my entire life. What do I do? I remember my father. I remember all the wasted years. I remember the fights. I remember the words we wasted and all the yelling we did. I remember hearing the complaints from the neighbors. I remember my father being divorced. I remember leaving him. I remember my 15th birthday. I remember my father's only gift, a Rubik's Cube. I remember never solving it. I remember putting it in the back of my closet. I remember leaving for college. I remember getting a job. I remember that phone call from my father. I remember his words exactly. Son, I know you won't forgive me for everything, but I want you to know I love you. If you could just pick up the phone and we could talk. Maybe we could make things better. I remember going to his funeral and not shedding a tear. I remember finding that Rubik's Cube. I remember going to his grave, opening it, and solving it. I remember placing it at his grave. I remember crying at the foot of his grave. I took an entire day off of work just to cry. I remember listening to that last message, wishing how I could pick up the phone, wishing how I could go back in time and spend every day with my father. I remember you, Dad. I remember you, Dad. I remember you, Dad. I remember. Be me. Be 10. Be in 5th grade. In love with Yu-Gi-Oh! Spent all my allowance on cards and would never miss an episode. Other people in my school liked Yu-Gi-Oh! But not as much as me. Then suddenly, meet this kid. Let's call him Connor. Connor loves Yu-Gi-Oh! Just as much as I do. We become best friends on the spot. He was a bit shy and I was his only friend, but he was the nicest kid you would ever meet. Every Saturday morning, I would go over to his house and we would duel and watch the show. His favorite character was Joey because his favorite card was the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Connor loved his Red Eyes Black Dragon. Every deck he made, he would incorporate it in some way. For those that don't know, Red Eyes Black Dragon isn't that fantastic of a card, so I don't know why he liked it so much. Fast forwards a few months. Connor is diagnosed with leukemia. Me being a happy-go-lucky kid, I assumed it would just go away after a while and my best friend would be back on his feet in no time. It only got worse. Connor was sent to live in the hospital. Still go to visit him every Saturday in the hospital. This goes on for weeks. One day, I visit him and turn on Yu-Gi-Oh! It's the episode where Joey gives Yugi his red eyes because he knew he wasn't a strong enough duelist to use it yet and wanted Yugi to hold on to it until it became stronger. Connor and I finish the episode, and he hands me his red eyes from the deck on his bedside table. He tells me, "I want you to hold on to this until I get better, and don't give it back to me until I do. You have to make that promise. But once I become strong again, I want it back and I'll kick your butt." I start tearing up. It means so much to me that he would give me his prized card. He never got better. 10 years later, and I'm still holding on to it for you, buddy. I work at an animal shelter in Utah, and everything was pretty pointless. Family giving away their cat here, family getting a dog for their daughter, blah 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 blah. It almost seemed like it was just another thing to get my mind off of real life. Until one day, an average-looking man of about 40 years, average-looking clothes, haircut, glasses, no ring on his finger, and a striped tabby cat in his arms. I could hear the repressed emotion in his voice as he told me he needed to give away his cat. He later explained he was moving to a place that didn't allow pets. When he finished the paperwork, he turned to wipe a tear from his eye. I gave him his cat back. We must check the animals for obvious disease/injuries and etc., so he could say his last goodbye. He held the cat close to him as another tear ran down his face. The cat licked the tear off of his jaw, and his eyes welled up. He gave the cat back to me, so I figured I would take a chance. And I said, "I will personally make sure he finds a good home anon." He looked up at me, and in tears, he smiled and said, "Thank you, brother." He went back to his car, and through the window, I could see him crying with his head on his steering wheel. He was there for 20 minutes, just crying, before he finally pulled out of the parking lot. I adopted him, Anon, and you are free to come see Hunter anytime you want. I still work at the same shelter. I bring him to work every day hoping you will come back and tell me you can take him back home. He comes running to the desk every time someone opens the door. It's been 2 months, and I think he's still waiting for you to visit. We both want to see you again. Have best friend, Super Bro, planning the biggest surprise ever for my birthday. Not really a fan of celebrating it, or any holiday. He seems so excited. Don't want to crush him. Go along with it. Day comes. Doesn't answer phone. Hours later, Mom calls me in tears. He shot himself with a nail gun in his garage. Sobbing her heart out to me, but I'm speechless. Tries to wish me the best on my day, despite it all. Hang up before I break down. Hate holidays even more now. Can't have stable relationships with girls because of this. Always tell me they'll make it a happy day. End up fighting about how I can't cheer up. Holidays are a never-ending spawn of depression and anxiety. I will die alone because no girl can accept this. Making friends in general is even more difficult due to all of this. I just want my bro back. Everyone in my class said they wanted to come, which was weird because I didn't have many friends. I told my mom how many people said they were coming. She was excited for me and booked out pretty much the rest of the 10-pin bowling parlor. She took me the day before to get some nicer clothes because of everyone that was going to be there. My mom didn't have much money. Mom got my granddad, in a wheelchair, out of the nursing home because she wanted him to see how many friends I had coming to the party. That face when no one showed up. Not one person. Not even the people I thought were my friends came. Find out, it was a huge pact made by the class for no one to show up. The cool kids even convinced my friends not to show up. Bowling alley wouldn't refund money because it had turned people away to cater to the party. End up bowling with Mom. Granddad dies a few weeks later. I learned my lesson. Now, I just don't tell people it's my birthday. You sit on your front porch watching the street light across the street. It flickers once. It's 3:42 a.m. and you just realized that even though your family loves you, the only thing you need is someone to care for, someone to love. So, you sit on your front porch watching the light. You might smoke a cigarette or two, but you don't really need them. You watch the tree near the streetlight sway in the wind, scared of life. You might have had a girl in your life once, but it soured and went wrong. It might have been your fault, but odds are that it wasn't. Odds are is that she dumped you because being with you made her depressed. Then you realize that you just lost a great chance to change your life around. So, you sit outside on your front porch. You watch the street light across the street. You might shed a tear or two, but this isn't a physical sadness that can be purged. This is a soul-crushing black abyss kind of sadness. And you are scared and alone. And all you want is someone to look at you and say, "Everything will be okay. Come with me." Instead, you sit on your front porch. You watch the street light, and you die inside. Good night, B.